The weekly briefing is just a moment that once a week where we can grab these kind of big trend, big conversations, kind of deep dive into the conversations and the big topics we're dealing with. Anton is, and I have known each other, I want to say, well, we said we met a year ago, right? But a little bit on RevCommunity before that. And then you and I decided one day that we should probably have coffee because you are really thinking about some big picture stuff as a business owner yourself, and maybe something that irritated you at one point and you started kind of dealing with freelancers, huh? The freelancer problem is a somewhat of a big problem for studios.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again for having me here today. And like, I'm glad that once we met with you and had this great conversation over the nice coffee. Yeah, I think right now is like the market is changing like rapidly, and we after the COVID, after all that crazy stuff that happened with us like last 2 years, I think the world will be never the same again. All this remote stuff is changed the way how the people work, and most of the with whom I had a conversation, they picked their way to be a freelancers, to work remote, and they don't want to back to office. And like, and most of them also decided to go to freelance as a like main way.
Yeah, how interesting is that? Like, it's the remote work actually, I felt like gave birth to a totally different trend in freelancers. I have a feeling some people are thinking, well, if I stick with just one company for a while, and I'm not a freelancer, I'm losing out on opportunity because freelancers can do two jobs or sometimes three jobs at a time. So how people were booking themselves, if they're at home working anyway, it kind of changed some of that, the mentality of the marketplace. Um, and also, the shift has made some business owners look at a need of being more dynamic with their team. So they don't want to hold on to staff and retain staff and have like a burn rate. They want to allow for more freelance and freelance work. So there's kind of opportunities on both sides to create a new demand. But the freelance marketplace really had a boom, I'll say like 2 years ago. The rates were going up. It was very hard to find those freelancers. Is that when Baselance came about, when it was like trying to gather those freelancers in that database together to know where the team is?
Actually, the Baselance was born inside my animation studio. So like, I founder and executive creative director of my animation studio, Pepperton. And we're a boutique studio. We was founded as a like 8 years ago about, and since then we always had a small amount of in-house team, and we feel that this is something that gives us opportunity to be more flexible and to stay strong in any crisis that could happen, because we can be flexible at the same time. So why we decided to create a Baselance? Uh, when we found out that collecting the professionals with whom we had a previous project, or somebody recommended to us someone, is so annoying in by using like classic spreadsheets or Notion, because when your list of the talents extend like up to 50 or 100 records, uh, it's unbelievable to manage it. I mean, in general, you can put the old tags and all that stuff, but how many people you remember what style they're doing, like what kind of work they're doing? You can keep it in mind, because if you're a producer, you're meeting with people, lots of people every day, and like your brain clean himself every single meeting if it's not important for you. I mean, in this particular time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we decided that we need to visualize and make it easier to add and manage all our context. So this is how we decided to build our in-house tool. So before all this, what you see right now, the Baselance was very ugly, and it was built just for ourselves with all
Yeah.
these crazy buttons around. So this is like, here is you need to press, here it is to see. But one of my friend, I shared with him the concept of Baselance, and he said, "Hey man, this is something that I need in my studio, and I would like to try it. Could you share it with me?" This was first connection. Then I decided, well, if somebody needs, maybe there is more people around who looking for something like this. And this is how it started.
That's cool. It is so funny how these things get started, because they do start off very ugly. They're just so practical. You're a little bit annoyed. You're looking for, like in your case, you're just trying to solve a problem you're having inside, and you're finding it annoying to, in this case, manage resources. And I like the idea of really truly, in a lot of bringing on creative talent, it's very visual, and a spreadsheet just can't cut it, or a list can't cut it. You have to almost remember who everybody is, or have URL links. So you're like, who's this person? Then you go off the platform to find it and come back to the platform and find it. And everyone's been doing that for years. It's not like there's anything necessarily broken with it, but to recognize, like, wait, this is a visual problem, and put something visual to it. What a great idea. When I was head of operations at IF, it almost felt like databases weren't even about, and it was just all a whiteboard. And to always be managing resources and who's coming in and when they're available and their bookings and their timing, and that puzzle pieces that you have to put together to build a team, because you're building a future team, right? You're trying to imagine, with the projects that we have on our books right now, who would we need to have available, and to gather those pieces. I think that for you is like, you just realized, I want to understand how I could possibly gather a team and get these projects done, and not have to like commit too much into hiring them, or always, micromanaging it to have one system that does it all, right?
Yeah, that's right. So it's easier, like when you see, because you always have a board, you always have something with what you're working on. I mean, like for the project, and you don't understand that I need this particular artist for this particular job, and like it's easier to manage when you can literally see it. It cuts your timing on preparing this future team. I don't know, like 10 times, because you don't need, as you said, there is only links. You can open all these tabs, and you need to follow all these tabs. And it's like, okay, with whom I had, like, what kind of tab, what line I just opened, like what name it was. So
Yeah.
it's tricky. That's why, yeah, we decided that we need something like easier and like to manage. And now we have about 2,000 records in Baselance. And we are not the highest. We have clients in Baselance. They have like 2,000 something records in Baselance.
Wow.
Yeah, before Baselance, they used the Google spreadsheets.
I was gonna say, can you imagine what that Google sheet looked like? 2,000
Yeah,
lines.
I
Yeah.
actually, when we just received my team received their Excel file. I mean, they just exported to Excel file. My computer literally stuck when it's tried to open it, like, because there are so many records, many notes, many, I don't know, like highlights and all that stuff. And it was, what in the world, how you guys like manage all this stuff? And they continue adding people, and now they're like using Baselance, I don't know, for 2 years, and they're so happy about it. Like, oh,
Yeah, sure.
literally.
Is it do you have to have a dedicated person to run it, or does it go directly to the producer? So like a creative person or a director can look at the database themselves and figure things out and add their own stuff, or is it a resource manager position? So it is one person managing 2,000 invoices or 2,000 connections. Because I feel like production companies have it either way. They have a person, everything funnels through, or I don't know, everyone tries to find their best friend through a Slack or something like that.
You're absolutely right. There is two ways. Some of studios, they manage all database by themselves. I mean, the owner, producer, the creative director, they all managing all contacts in their database. But some of our clients, they have a dedicated person, like talent acquisition manager, or talent acquisition team, something. So they usually have an full access to database, but the creative team, or like creative team, usually have only read-only rights. So they ask, it was funny, but they ask us to protect all database from creative team, so creative team can edit or add anything into the database because they are so how to say, they try to make it as much as possible clean
Yeah,
without any marks from creative team, and like to not destroy all their tags because they're very, they love
yeah,
it, like, structure all the stuff. And they ask, hey guys, can you please add this person but only read only? I
yeah.
said, well,
That's
it's
funny.
creative, it's creative director, maybe we can add him full. No, it's okay, he is okay with it.
Yeah, yeah. We're actually trying to help the creative director. We don't want him to
Yeah,
change
yeah,
our data and not be able to help him anymore. We're trying to read his mind. So here's the tipping point I'm seeing right now in the industry, right? So the slow season that many people are experiencing, I feel, has created a lot of layoffs for their company. So they've shrunk down their team to just the core staff, and many business owners are telling me they're pivoting to a more freelancer model because it needs to be more dynamic. And I can explain why all this is happening in these very strange ways, but the way projects are being awarded, they're awarded and then they're put on pause for 3 weeks. So you basically are burning 3 weeks of the project before you even get started. And it's just been hurting the bottom line. So I feel like this big push to freelance is a reaction and a response for business owners. So I'm going to see very soon where the pressure that's been built up, new projects are going to be awarded, and all of a sudden everyone's going to be racing towards these freelancers. Where are they? Can I find them? Can I, that information structure, those Google sheets are going to be used like crazy because they're going to be looking in a marketplace to discover new freelancers and what have you. So I see that trend coming, and that's why I thought, like, okay, Anton, I need to talk to you about Baselance and what you're seeing as a trend in the industry and what people are actually doing on the software. Are you noticing that? Are you noticing that more people are reaching out to you and loading it in now with a worry of that? And can you see activity, that the bookings and the scheduling? I don't know what you can see in other people's stuff, but can you see more people on hold, fewer people on hold? Can you see any of those trends?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see any information about holds for bookings. Like it's private information, so we decided to leave it as a private space for
That's probably a
our
good idea.
users.
Yeah.
Yeah, same as a contacts actually. So we really don't see anything like on our end. So we see the amount because we are charging for amount, but we don't see what kind of, like, what is it? Because it was one of the idea to create, because the producers love their database and they are very sensitive about their like secure, and this was our main priority, because this database is usually is something that they collected for years, and because most of these people are not just, you can't just go to Behance and find all these artists in one moment. You need to really dig in all these millions of profiles, and nowadays with the AI, it's literally became like a tough process to understand, is it good person or not. So yeah, speaking about
Right.
your question, sorry, I think that what I'm seeing right now is that more people are coming to Baselance and they really start doing like preparation for the future, because I totally agree with you. Like the people right now, this market is slow and people are available, and you don't need any, you don't have any problems with like hiring someone. You just need to post on LinkedIn and you have like 300 review, I mean the
Yeah.
replies. Like it's blowing. Every post that I saw on Facebook when it's somebody looking for somebody, like it's poof, like this is a new, by the way, this is a new idea for your LinkedIn profile to make it better. Just post that you're looking for somebody, and like
You
your
get a lot of
post will be,
followers.
yeah, just a minute. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's literally a bad thing for everyone because it's not a good sign. But yeah, but nowadays everyone is available, and you can literally take anybody from the market, and you can hire the best of the best. But when the market will back to the normal life, I hope it will be coming soon. Uh, you will need some sort of like the power, and this is the power of your database, or the database that you already selected. You filtered all these artists, you discovered them on like on social media on the previous project, and I saw how many people are coming to us and they just starting collecting. I feel that they are not collecting, I think they're just putting their previous databases. But at the same time, I see how many people are adding more and more and more and more freelancers. And because the market is still slow, I think this is the preparation for future. They just literally find some great artists that already like um, that they, because right nowadays lots of artists starting doing their showreels for 5 years, the first showreel for 5 years. I saw so many posts of my friends. They said, oh, this is my first showreel. I didn't do it like last 10 years. I don't need it because nowadays I need it. I need to, highlight myself. So yeah.
So that's what I don't want to hear people to hear is like, I brought Anton on to pitch Baselance. I just know that Baselance is solving a certain problem, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to establish expertise. But I think you and I are hearing the same thing. Like, it really is. My encouragement is absolutely like, it really is time to do your homework, because you and I all know it's been slow. There's been a buildup of freelancers. There's more available out there. There's deeper materials. There's updates on people's profiles, because when it's slow, everybody's working on their demo reel. And if you don't do your homework and then you need somebody, because one day you're going to need them, you're going to be behind people that did their homework. And this is your chance to build things up. And listen, not everyone has 2,000 people, right? A Google Sheet will be fine if you have 200 people. If that's the size of your company, it would be really good to ask questions like, what is your rate? What is your availability? Do you allow for second holds or third holds? Like, just start getting a sense of what the market sounds like for these freelancers and how to put them in place, so that you have your own measuring stick and strategy for when the time comes to start booking people and putting people on hold. Because I think it's coming. I'm hearing enough agencies telling me that, and studios telling me they're getting awards, and then there's this weird pattern, and then there's project going to start. But I can feel that coming. So that's been my encouragement. But I feel like when I saw Baselance, and I know what Baselance does, it's this idea of, and I actually want you to show a screenshot in a second, but this idea of that you actually turned it to a visual aid in a very clever way. And I think that was the tipping point for me of like, oh, Anton, you thought of this solution differently than just a list. You actually are queuing people up to make the decision easier and start grading or like qualifying people for your company. And I really appreciated that you did that.
Oh yeah. Actually, speaking about like a couple of words, speaking about the homework, we before the COVID and like before this crisis, our producers always had this homework for themselves. We always like exploring the new talents, and because you don't know what's happened next. There's some freelancers, they go on site or like in-house, they can't work with you anymore. Somebody decided to change their position to art directions or something. Like people are changing. The time is not stopping for like from the moment that you find this artist. So our database is always like some like live tool that always updating, always changing. And this is, I think, it's not about the market nowadays. I think it's some sort of necessary thing that you need to do every single week at least, because in other case you will be very sensitive to any changes on the market or in the world. Like next day, all the freelancers from, I don't know, from somewhere, they can't work with you without any reason.
And the term I have is you need hooks to hang your hats on. So the thought process is, even if you are going through LinkedIn or Instagram and you see somebody and you go, oh, I'd like to work with them, to know where to put that information immediately, not just throw that into your, iPhone notes or send a reminder to yourself, like to be able to quickly say, wait a second, I'm going to copy that person's URL. I'm going to paste it into something. So I have that thought captured as I come across it. Such an important part of the tool. Okay, so we've teased it enough, and a couple people are asking questions about the system. So would you mind just, I'm sure you're ready for this, but like, do you have an opportunity just to share your screen for a second?
Oh
I
yes,
want
with
you to
pleasure.
show the social media feature
Yeah.
that you put in
So
here, because I think this is that visual aid we're talking about.
yeah, just as you said, like when you're discovering somebody on Instagram, probably, yeah, you're looking for some artist and you find, oh, this is a nice character designer and I would like to save it. What do you do? Usually, as you said, putting his link to reminder to your message or whatever. And in 99%, if you don't have a habit to put them back to some like spreadsheet or something, you probably will lose this contact forever.
Yeah.
So this is like how the baselines look like. I don't want to spend time on this. Speaking about our features, so we have an extension on the baselines that helps you do it like immediately. You simply find the artist that you like to add to your database, press the extension upload the own information about this artist. You simply need to pick where you would like to put this artist and what in which category, like okay, illustrators, some skills, character, my creative. Oops. And the context that this artist shared it on his profile. And threads, I think. That's it. You press save, and what Baselance did, he is parsing information about this artist from his social media profile and putting all this information to your account at Baselance. You simply go back to your Baselance.
So in a way, you can kind of farm for talent. You can spend some time doing some research and then grabbing that research as you go along, farm for it and start gathering it. I like to say collect the dots and then connect the dots. And this way, like you can simply just go through and start collecting those dots.
Yeah, same with like we worked with Instagram. We worked with like Behance. It's same stuff. So you're pressing the extension button. You go to put the illustrator. There is more information about this artist. You're doing like save, and
awesome.
And that's it. Because like,
so that's the power of the tool that you have. Simply as you just created a shortcut all the way from the web browser straight to the database.
Yeah. So and you literally don't need to.
And then show, okay, this is Baselance right here, but like that the visual aid that comes up right away. So now, in a way, a creative team, if you have a production person or a resource person that's gathering it, the creative person can immediately see the visual aid, the person's talent, skills, whatever they put out there.
Yeah.
This I don't know who this person is, by the way, but this
This is Sebastian Curie. He's a great artist. Yeah, he's an illustrator. So yeah, you literally have a preview of his work.
Yeah, I like Sebastian's work. We should get him on.
Yeah, Sebastian. Oh my gosh, he's a great talent. I love everything. I have a big poster of his hands in my flat. This is the biggest picture in my flat. That's it's really amazing. Cool. So yeah, Anton, this is like you can see everything. Yeah, no. I just want to share that you can see everything on your hand. Like you don't need to dive deeper into the contact details. You just need to scroll like back and forth and see, okay, this is nice. This is what I'm looking for my new like project or something, and just pick it this person and go to, there is a day rates you can add, where is the located. You also can add like some availability stuff here. Like, you know, if you had a conversation with this person, you can put it like, okay, I marked like this one and this is my hot one. That's it. So I can speak about it a lot, but we don't have time. So yeah,
I feel like we could do a demo of this, whatever. But I love that you'd solve this from the point of view of a business owner, and you got rid of some of the annoyance part of it. Jason Zemika asked, "Is there a way for you to send out a questionnaire and allow people to update their own record?" So you say to people, "Hey, can you give me your rate and can you give me your availability?" and let them do the work.
Unfortunately not for now, but we had this idea in our roadmap, but right now you can't ask anything from your contact through the Baselance, because it's still right now, Baselance is still like just a place where you save all your contact information. You also can add your colleagues to some sort of lists where you can discuss different artists and like, you know, award some of these artists, discuss like potential candidates for your upcoming project. So this is some sort of like what we have right now, but all communication unfortunately right now is not available from the Baselance.
So I
But
think
we have
Jim, you can jump in here, but I think that just answered your question. Jim Huang was asking, can you actually put teams together for projects? So that's what it seems like. And he had this idea of like an A team and a B team. It just seems like you make a project with an A team, project with a B team, and just save profiles.
Yeah, we have actually the discussion this discussion section here, so you can literally talk with your colleagues. Oh my gosh, I think I am not invited.
Oh, that's so cool. You can chat within the.
Yeah, you can chat. You can actually discuss the exact artists here. Like I need to. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, good.
You can actually discuss the exact artist, and you have the conversation with you. And I like this.
Is that what that's doing right there? So you're moving the artist into an overview, but then somebody on the team approves or declines them for the moment. So this is your queue, not yet on the project. Approved means move to the project. Okay.
Yeah. So like if the usually what happened in the list, usually the talent managers, they add everyone who they think it might work for the upcoming project, and the creative director or directors, they literally discuss it here and approve or decline if they don't like it. And the talent manager, they can see, okay, I need more designers here, because when they set up the list, they can add how many artists on one position they need. Like if you need like illustrator.
Yeah, no, it's so hard to spell when everyone's watching. It's like the hardest.
Yeah, so and you need like, especially for me. Yeah, and you need like 4 of them. So there will be like 4 empty
Oh, that's cool. So you almost make buckets, and then
you
assign people
so
into those buckets.
Yeah, and you need like you need to cover them. You see, there is like, I need 2 VFX artists, 1 animator, 3 illustrators. And when I prove, there is like the empty spaces.
I love that the visual kind of process of it, and get a sense. Oh yeah, that's cool. So even the declines are there just in case you're
just in case. And all this all this information, it's recording in the artist contact. So basically, if we go to Marianne, we can see that she is existed in New Year campaign, Star Wars, and like other campaigns. So we can see where she was awarded, like in which list she was invited as an artist.
Got it. So past reference for it. This is exactly what I want people to be doing right now, is like gathering these future team members and putting the information out there in an organized way. Because when the time comes and things get greenlit, it's way too late. It's too late. And this is a very proactive approach. If you know me about anything, I love being proactive. So I love that. Yeah. It seems like Trevor's loving this too. He says he's loved this. It's a great aspect of Baselance.
Hi, Trevor.
Yeah. Okay, this is great. We're at the half-hour point, which we usually stop, but I would love for anyone, if anyone has any questions, I can kind of turn on gallery mode for myself here and grab anything. Give anyone a chance.
I can stop the sharing. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Anton.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, great idea. What I'm addicted to is the solution of the way you put something together and giving people some encouragement. Again, I think you and I both know, like for some studios, Notion and Google Sheets and Airtables are where they need to be right now. But the process of gathering the information and having those resources, and even just for you to queue up some of that proactive nature of building teams in subcategories, and not letting, when it's quiet for you, is a good time for you to do homework and gather some of that information, start putting those profiles into your database. Because again, when it's busy, when you feel like you finally need them, it's way too late to be putting.
It's way too late. Yeah, that's true.
Trevor's shaking his head big time, so he's in a full agreement of that thing right there. Mark, did you have a question?
I did have a question. So I may have missed it, but I am myself, I'm a freelancer. Is this more of a tool for people in position of direction hiring, or is it as a freelancer? Is that something that I could sign up for and kind of like add my name to your books, and then I'm kind of within your network or scope for creative directors who are using Baselance?
That's a great question.
Yeah, great questions. Thank you. Actually, no, you can't add yourself into the Baselance. So because we at the beginning we decided that we 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 decided to solve only one existed problem, is like the producers usually have their own databases, but we have like lots of conversation with our clients, and what they're like asking right now is like there is a special forms where you can use as a like based on your website, and when the people are applying on a job or some position, this information will go to the Baselance. But no, you, as a freelancers, you can do this. It's better to have like some Behance or Instagram, because it's like give you more wide opportunity to be highlighted by somebody else, like from the producers or somebody. But the Baselance is a private space where only producers like do their.
So it's not quite an advertising platform for the
No,
freelancer to be seen.
no.
It's more of an
No,
organization inside out thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead, Jason. Thanks, Mark.
Hey, first of all, this is awesome. We've been trying to build something like this in-house for probably 7 years, and it's all just Google Sheets at this point and memory. And we spend an inordinate amount of time sitting in our planning meetings going, who was that guy that I forwarded you like 8 weeks ago and it was really good? And then we're just like literally take 10 minutes to dig through like text messages. So this is great.
Thank you.
I love the integration. Is there a sort of a almost like dashboard overlay view where you can see on a project level where artists are, how they fit within? Because, for instance, we'll use an artist, we might kind of say, oh, they'd be great for that. Let's put them on hold for those 3 weeks. Then we have another project, and we're like, oh, they'd be great for that one too, but they overlap a week. Do you have some where timeline and artist availability is kind of shown, and then how it relates to others?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. It's actually already in production. That will be some sort of filter that you can use, and you can like the view where you can like pick, and you will see like in some sort of Gantt diagram. You can see the artist and the hold booking or like availability, or maybe it's like some vacation. That this artist will be out of town or out of any project for some period of time. Yeah, this is in production. I think we'll like launch it in a couple of months, maybe.
Awesome.
Yeah, be
And
honest.
Tom, my question for you is
yeah.
What's going to happen when you're going to have to quit your day job running a studio and only do Baselance, because it's going to gain so much popularity? Because this is going to become a totally different job to keep up with this thing. There's great features coming up that
Actually, I'm playing with this like I'm playing around with with this true project for a while. So basically, I found out how to manage like the stuff in the studio, because in studio I have a great team that's supporting me in any steps, so I don't need to be in the studio for like 100% of the time. But at the same time, like in Baselance, I have great partners who also covered me. So it's all about the great partners. It's very hard to find them, but when you have it, like it's something that helps you, to do all the stuff.
Yeah, maybe some more of the demand in the marketplace give us opportunity to develop those features sooner than later, or whatever. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Jim asked a really interesting question, and maybe this is even a good just overall dialogue moment here. Is can you almost imagine what would happen industry wide if like on a collective level or overall studio level, this information started being shared? I think I understand it. What Jim's saying is something like, can you imagine this turning into a similar like a glass door where like, it could be open up and other people kind of viewing and seeing and grading and understanding everybody's score in a way. I'm curious if maybe I'm asking that wrong, maybe I'm reading the question or into the question wrong, but it's an interesting kind of idea of like, once you have a common form, a common database form, I could text message Jason and give him a list of people, and then he can add that same information back and forth. It's a kind of a curious movement could take place of industry owners sharing that information back and forth.
It's interesting idea in general. Yeah, but
I think Jim's question and just pipe in, but Jim's question is more like, what happens when our studio clients start looking, they don't even want to see our bid or our pitch deck. They've got their Studio Lance website that they're searching on, and they're like, yeah, we'll choose X versus Y because of this.
Yeah, they've done their own homework, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. Instead of not knowing all the answers, asking you, hey, can you qualify yourself and see if you want to work with me? It's almost like, no, I've already made the judgment call without. Yeah, you can see where a technology can definitely advance that way. It hasn't yet, though. I think that all of us are at least have a big enough ego that we want to be the judge. I'm gonna throw some stuff out there. What do you think, Ian?
I think that I think actually this is what we talked with Ian about.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. We were talking about the idea of peers rating and reviewing artists. I may have had an experience with an artist that was great and fantastic, and I want to share that with other people, and somebody else may have had a terrible situation with that artist, and for whatever that reason is, and do that, and then somehow the ratings of people we have discussed move up higher and higher in the system, in a way that people get graded sort of automatically by the reviews that they end up getting. Obviously there's potential problems with that, but there's also great things with that.
Curious, huh?
But,
like the Amazon review kind of a thing, or Airbnb kind of rating system or whatever.
But it wouldn't as owners and studio runners, wouldn't we just devalue the talent that we love so that no one else uses them? I mean, like, I don't want to show. I mean, I love this community.
Mark's
I love you guys.
Going like, guys, please, you're killing me.
You're not getting my top freelance. Sorry, you're not.
I think that's your comment, Jason, is exactly why I think a lot of people don't share a lot of that. Is their Rolodexes. I'm using an old term, but they don't share that is because you've spent a lot of time building up those relationships, or finding that gem or whatever it is, and you don't necessarily want to share those. I mean, look, for me, I've been in situations where I've gone in as consulting situation, and the only reason why they want me is for my 6,000 people that I have, and I'm not there to hand over 6,000 people and let them decipher them on their own. So that is the yin and yang of this. And right now, Anton, right, you've made it where you are creating your own database that you're not sharing with anybody else, unless you choose to share that with other people that are on Baselance that are either in your corporation or business. You can also share it, right, with others that just happen to be on Baselance. They're not within your group, is my understanding as well. So
I think Trevor making a good point too. It's almost like the hand of the creator has a role here. Like Gordon Ramsay making toast and me making toast, I'm pretty sure his toast is better, and it's still just bread and butter or whatever, right? So the hand of the creator says, I know how I work with certain people, and I might have a grade and understanding of it, and someone will have a totally different experience with that same person or those same ingredients to get that project done.
Yeah. And also the process from one company to the next. There's always these larger ad agencies versus boutiques, and the level of the speed, all these different influences that what makes somebody really good for your team, that shorthand communication that you have with them, exactly what levers to push and pull with them, and that's going to be different from one group to the next. Right. And even the language, like, I don't know how many people use different language for different deliverables, different roles. What is an art director from one company to the next? I've seen so many different types of definitions of that. And that's what's important, is building a tool, whether it's Baselance or whether it's a Google Sheet, based on your taxonomy, your language. How do you judge these people to be right for that particular job, right for that full-time role, whatever that might be? it's important for you to really do that work in this downtime to say, hey, at a flip of a tag, how can I find the right person for this right project right now? And there's so many tools. Believe me, I've researched so many of them. Baselance is a very unique one. And there's a lot of other ones that are might be, sorry, Anton, might be a little bit better for whoever's, scenario it might be. But what's right for you is right for you. Everybody, I'm sure on here has gone through. That's a great piece of software. It's not going to work for us, So
Yeah.
make what works for you right so that you can find the right people quickly that can solve your problems together.
And Trevor, you're saying it right. Like from the encouragement point of view I have is like everybody needs systems and routines to main things, right? And that's the system itself is Baselance or Google Sheet or whatever. That's a really kind of it's dumbed down until you put the data into it. It's the data you put into it and how frequently you're touching it. So my encouragement for people who have nothing in place is that you have to get into a routine of this and then know where the bucket exists or the hook exists to hang this thing on, and then start the process of doing that, grading it, putting the nomenclature into it, whatever you need to. That is how these things work, no matter what the title is of it.
And you could also make it fun too. So one thing we used to do, I'm former producer, basically, we did a thing called the draft. So every Friday, or every 2 weeks, people come together, they find their latest new artists, sit in a room together during lunch and just look at them and say, hey, is this the right person? Is that the right person? And it'd be a shared communal approach, because that creative director or that art director, it might be better for their project, but that other person may not be right for, and it's fun. You get a moment to discover new people together. So there's ways of creating that routine, like you're saying.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I actually heard recently when I was in Barcelona, I talked to a creative director of a very large agency, and they talked about one of their routines is there's basically a top 20 list. And every week or 2 weeks they go into it and you have to pitch to see if you would want to replace somebody in that top 20. So there's this idea of looking for new talent. That's what they're doing, but turning it a fun way of like, well, who's our top 20? And what an interesting concept to be like, when you have a chance, do they really fit? Would they fit the role and all those parts to it? So yeah, some encouragement of what that routine could look like. It could be very different, but kind of fun if you're
when I was at Prologue, we used to sit on Fridays at lunch and people would bring in talent, reels or whatever, and we would review those, and people would vote and grade, and that would determine whether they were put into the fold and sort of what their grading was, so.
Yeah, I can imagine
this would make
there's a lot of scrutiny at some of those conversations, because that's one of those things where the creative director talent knows how they could work with somebody different than another. And I even know what different creative directors within the same company will get different results from the same individual.
Sure.
And that's where like we're not afraid of letting our freelancers go work with our competitor, because that freelancer working with somebody else gets very different results than working with us, and the market's open for that conversation. So very cool. Well, it is quarter till, so I don't want to cut this short, but I feel like I always want to give you guys back to work too. Anton, thank you so much for being my guest here today and opening this conversation up. I think the freelancer conversation is such a bigger conversation. And in 2 or 3 months, we're going to be hearing something very different. But also the tool that you have and the way you're thinking about it is such a great solution to let people wrap their head around what the problem is. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you guys. If you have any questions about anything about freelance or something, I'll be happy, or Baselance, of course. I'll be happy to talk more about it in RevThink. I'm there. I'll post something if it's okay, some notes on RevThink, sure. And let's talk more there.
Yeah,
thank you very much, guys.
There, post questions. Anton can do that, or even just the idea of like DM. People could DM you and that one time.
Or you can DM me. I'll be happy to talk more. Thank you very much. It was a great conversation, and I think we need to continue this conversation about the freelancers and how we work with them, because I think this is something that already here and we never changed this way. I mean, this is new reality.
Yeah, you're awesome. All right. Thank you all very much. Good to
Thank
see
you.
you here. We'll see you in RevCommunity and keep the conversations going. But until next week, the weekly briefing, have a good week and let us know any way we can help you. Next week's going to be a fun one. We're going to talk about the industry quarter trends. So we're going to look at some financial trends next week. So it's usually the big one people want to kind of see. And I got some really interesting theories coming up how this year is going to play itself out. So we'll see you next week. But until then,
You
I'll
guys.
see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.